In the fading sunlight of 1823, a calm countryside town called Millbrook in Pennsylvania found itself facing something deeply strange. Over a period of only 12 weeks, 17 people passed away. That number might not have seemed shocking at first glance, but what caused whispers among neighbors was that all of them had been prepared for burial by a single business. The family-owned Hartwell Funeral Parlor had served the area for more than 20 years. Locals respected the Hartwell name. Their service to the grieving was known to be kind and respectful. Their building stood on the edge of town and had welcomed many families during times of loss. But something had changed. A medical officer, someone who visited small towns regularly, arrived and noticed something strange during a visit to that very funeral home. What he would uncover inside those stone walls would bring nightmares to those who learned the truth. Beneath the surface of this peaceful town, darkness had been growing. Before telling what was found, a brief moment to speak to those who enjoy tales of historical secrets. Consider supporting this journey by staying connected. The full truth behind what happened in Millbrook might never be fully known, but what was discovered tells a horrifying tale. 2 decades before these deaths, the Hartwell family moved into the community. The town had no funeral professionals at that time. Most people cared for their dead relatives on their own, or they hired carpenters to craft simple boxes. Ezekiel Hartwell saw a gap and decided to open the first full-service funeral place. Some people distrusted him at first. The idea of someone earning a living through death felt cold to some. But Ezekiel treated each family with care. His work was tidy, quiet, and priced fairly. Over time, he won the people's trust. He lived in the same building as his business with his wife Martha, their 2 sons named Josiah and Caleb, their daughter Rebecca, and Martha's elderly father Thomas. They seemed like an ordinary group. They went to church, helped during town projects, and often gave support to struggling neighbors. Josiah had been trained in how to prepare bodies, learning every detail from his father. He was expected to take over the business one day. Caleb helped dig graves and repair coffins. Rebecca helped serve food and comforted widows with soft words. Their home had 3 floors. The family slept on the second. The main level was used for viewing ceremonies. Below the house was a stone basement where bodies were treated. Nearby, a barn held empty coffins. Behind that was a small burial ground for those who had no family or money. In tough winters, when crops failed, the Hartwells often gave their services freely in exchange for food or small favors. This generosity gave them a good name. People from other towns began hearing of their kindness. By the year of the tragedy, most deaths in nearby areas ended at the Hartwell door. That same year, the state had sent out medical workers to check for signs of illness. Traveling doctors visited towns to look at water sources, food storage areas, and graves. One such doctor, named Samuel Harrison, came to Millbrook. He visited places one by one, and when he came to the Hartwell building, he was greeted kindly. Ezekiel and Josiah gave him a full tour. Everything looked clean. The equipment was new. The smell inside was sharp, but not strange for a place that dealt with death. But when Dr. Harrison asked to see the bodies currently being held before burial, something changed. The first body was of a woman in her 60s. The record said she died of a long illness. But on her neck were faint bruises, small and hard to notice, but there. When questioned, Josiah explained that her body had been handled awkwardly, and bruises may have formed after death. The doctor accepted that answer, but took a mental note. The second body had small holes in the arms. Chest. The family claimed he had fallen on farm tools. But the wounds were too neat, too focused. The third body had signs of white powder around the mouth and hands. The doctor recognized it as poison. This one had been a young mother. These three examples forced Dr. Harrison to stop pretending everything was normal. Still, his evidence was not enough to bring action. The family was too respected, and the town trusted them. That night, while he sat in the town inn, people began approaching him. They told quiet stories. A woman said her mother had been perfectly well until she was visited by Martha Hartwell, who brought food. The next day, the woman grew weak, and soon after, she was gone. Other stories sounded the same. Small visits, then illness, then death. More curious still, the Hartwells were always quick to offer help. They would handle everything without asking for payment. The next day, Dr. Harrison returned. He noticed jars in the basement filled with liquids. Some held human organs. When asked, Ezekiel said these were used for learning. But the cuts on the organs were too clean, too exact. They looked like parts from people who had been cut while still alive. Then came the book. A leather journal was spotted under a cloth. Before the doctor could reach it, one of the sons moved quickly and hid it. Later, the doctor found out that the book held information about many locals. It contained names, sickness details, family backgrounds, and even income levels. What had seemed like a normal family began to look like something else entirely. One evening, the old man of the house, Thomas Creed, met the doctor in secret. He was sick, shaking, and afraid. He told the doctor that the family had been feeding him small amounts of poison for weeks. He had figured it out and had taken steps to avoid it. He also told of how the family had started by digging up fresh graves. They had stolen jewelry, teeth, and clothes. Then, one day, they killed someone by mistake while trying to rob them. No one noticed. So they tried it again, but more carefully. Over the years, they became experts. Each person had a role. Martha tricked people with warmth. Rebecca watched. For lonely folks, the sons did the killing. Ezekiel planned everything. The old man gave the doctor a key and told him about a hidden room. On Sunday, when the family would be at church, Dr. Harrison went back to the house. He found the secret door behind the basement wall. Inside, the hidden chamber held jars, tools, and the full version of the journal. It listed names, dates, methods, and reactions. Some victims had been watched for weeks before being killed. The book described fear levels, pain reactions, and which poisons left fewer marks. Some drawings showed people being cut while still breathing. The chamber even had a map showing where the family buried bodies that could not be explained. That place was in the forest, behind the barn. As the doctor was taking notes, he heard voices. A family had returned earlier than expected. He panicked. He tried to leave, but could not risk being seen. Then he found another door inside the secret room. It opened to a narrow tunnel. He followed it. It led to a cave under the hill. What he saw there made him sick. Bodies, some whole, some half, gone, some with clear signs of pain. Items belonging to victims lay nearby. Jewelry, clothing, even toys. This was not just about profit. It was about power. The family had built something monstrous. As he looked around, he heard voices again. The family was inside the tunnel, calling his name, their tone calm but cold. He managed to escape through another exit in the woods. He ran for miles, hiding, avoiding roads. He made it to a bigger town and showed the evidence. But by the time anyone returned, the Hartwells had vanished. The cave had been collapsed. The room had been emptied. Neighbors believed the family had gone to care for a sick relative in another state. Only the doctor knew the truth. Weeks passed, then months. Then a letter arrived. It was from Oregon. A sheriff had arrested a family named Caldwell, but their real name was Hartwell. They had opened a new funeral place under a new name. The pattern was the same. Murders, hidden graves, and the same journal. Over 100 people had been killed across many states. The Hartwells were caught, tried, and punished. Ezekiel was executed. Martha and Josiah followed. Caleb died in jail. Rebecca died alone behind prison bars. The horror had spread for years before being stopped. But the final words of Ezekiel were chilling. He said they had taught others. There were more families, more people like them, carrying the same evil into other towns. The story of Millbrook faded with time. People moved. The house became a shop. But no one forgot. Trust was broken. Fear remained. The past left behind shadows that still linger in quiet places. The dead can sometimes tell tales, but the living often choose to forget. What you believe happened in Millbrook may be only part of what truly occurred.